J-Mac, yesterday's game, I mean, it was like you said, a rainy snooze fest. You saw moments out of this offense, but yet again, the offense just not on the same page on the final drive. DJ Moore said as much in the locker room after. How concerning is it to you? I know there's been coaching changes, but it feels like there is no consistency, no rapport between this team. They look like an offense that just got together a week ago.
Yeah, it's not surprising. I mean, realistically, we're sitting here talking about, like we're shocked. Like we saw this all year. You know, you see an offense that can't get out of its own way. You see an offense that when you make a big play, it gets negated by a pre-snap penalty, holding. You see an offense that can't get ahead of the change, always starting behind the change because of those things. And it's very frustrating, when you can't get on track, when you can't overcome self-inflicted mistakes. I mean, it's impossible to win a game. It's hard enough to win a game in the NFL, but if you have those continued consistency in terms of making those self-inflicted mistakes, you don't stand a chance. And that's what we've seen all year. You've seen the mistakes over and over again come back to haunt the Bears. I mean, you saw the touchdown pass to Rome Odunze that could have been the game-winning touchdown, but what do you get? You get a holding call, it's negated. So the same things we've seen all year with this offense and this Bears team as a whole.
Jason McKee, our guest here. He's brought to you by the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, partnering with your business to save money and energy. J-Mac, when you're on the sidelines, you see some of these special throws that Caleb makes, the 4th and 5, the one to Rome Odunze on 3rd and 14, the one that you just alluded to Rome that got taken off the scoreboard because of the holding call there. But then it's sometimes the other stuff with Caleb where there's a throw missed here or a sack taken there. If you were his quarterback coach, and I know you obviously a great high school coach in this state, what would you do to try to put him on a plan to help bring a level of consistency to his game?
Yeah, I mean, you see signs of greatness with him, like he talked about, the wild throws that you see, the off-platform throws, the throws that you see him rolling out, making those, highlight plays. But then you also, the things that we lack in is the basic fundamentals, the basic things, right? Taking the check down, executing in critical situations. Don't go for the home run. Take the check down can lead to the first down. So, from a coach standpoint, a young quarterback, a lot of these young quarterbacks, they have those tendencies, right? You got a lot of expectations on your shoulder. You're brought in to turn the tide of a franchise. You want to make the special play. But in the NFL, you have to take a lot of times what the defense giving you, but you also have to play within the scheme in terms of executing in critical situations. So it was just basically harping on the details, the overall details in terms of its fundamentals, but the overall details in terms of game management, understanding critical situations, how to operate in those moments. And that's something he's going to have to learn. I mean, we forget he's only played, 16 games this year.
Right.
So, I mean, it's growing pain. Some quarterbacks come in this league and they get it right away, and they have good coaching. I mean, look at Bo Nix. He's got Sean Payton. It's a lot of things that factor into the development of a quarterback. And it's, a lot of in terms of, I mean, look at, his supporting cast. You talk about the offensive line. I mean, there's a lot of factors that aid in the success of a quarterback being successful in their first year.
J-Mac, this offensive line has been a question all season. I mean, you've talked about it over on the Chicago Bears podcast a ton. How concerning is it to you that our third-round pick, Karan Amagaji, is yet again a healthy scratch, somebody who can't seem to find the field, that they've been scared almost to put on the field, but they're willing to go with guys like Jake Curran, who, I mean, I don't know if you could tell from the sideline last night or if you've watched the tape yet, but there were so many times where he basically didn't touch anybody. I thought he was sitting next to you.
Yeah, it was protection was very confusing to me. I actually went back and watched all 7 sacks this morning of Caleb, and you just look at the protection. I mean, even 5-man protection. I mean, they're bringing 6 guys, and you can put that on offensive line, but, they're bringing one more that you can block because you got 5 guys in protection. So also look at the route concepts. Where's the hot? Where's Caleb's out? How is he beating that extra man that's coming in protection? So, yes, we can point at, Jay Curran, we can point at the offensive line, but it's the whole protection scheme in a nutshell. It's like you said, Karan Amagaji, a guy you drafted high, a guy who you were counting on this year, who's been hurt throughout training camp, didn't get those reps, obviously got in the Detroit game and, didn't fare well. This would have been a good opportunity for him to keep learning. You put him in Monday Night Football against a tough Detroit defense, and yes, he failed, but the only way for him to fail and get better is to get those reps, and this would have been an opportunity. So it's very concerning that you would put Jake Curran out there over your third-round draft pick, and, yeah, it does raise a lot of questions for concern about his future.
Jason McKee with us, Bears sideline reporter on Carmen and Yurko. Tyler Aki, Pat the designer, in for the guys today. Speaking on the flip side of the ball here, defensively, one of the curious inactives, a healthy scratch of another highly drafted Ryan Poles guy, Zach Pickens, not a part of the mix there. And Pat and I were just talking about this about 10 minutes ago, but for as much flack as the offensive line catches, it seems like there's a lot of issues on the defensive line that maybe go a little under the radar because of the offensive line struggles. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. You know, you look at a defensive line that hasn't got the sacks. I mean, look at Montez Sweat got a sack last night because Geno Smith tripped. He tripped over running back foot when he went to drop back.
Take what I can get on the paycheck, J-Mac.
When you look at it like this, right? Zach Pickens a healthy scratch. Well, he's pretty much been inactive whenever Javon Dexter's been in the lineup. So Javon Dexter was back. They put Zach Pickens on the inactive list. But the concerning thing is, you have a guy like Jonathan Ford who you brought in off the street a few weeks ago who actually played well against Detroit, and they activated him over Zach Pickens. So, obviously there's something they see from Jonathan Ford, or they want to get a better look at him because they've had a lot of looks at Zach Pickens, and now I don't know. I just think, they want to see some other guys, late in the season.
To me, it's so concerning to J-Mac because me and Tyler were talking about this. I feel like when you look on the outside of this team, there's a ton of talent there. And it just feels like Ryan Poles has put these guys in a tough position. I want to sit here and say Tyreek Stevenson isn't doing his job well. I want to sit here and say Tremaine Evans needs to play better. And maybe those are still things that hold true. But it's so hard, and on both sides of the ball, wide receivers and DBs and linebackers alike, it's so hard to sit there and get a true evaluation when on the defensive side, the quarterback has all day to stand back there. And on the offensive side, Caleb Williams says set hut, and he's running backwards because there's two guys coming up the middle as Coleman Shelton falls over yet again.
Yeah, I think it goes back to development. It goes back to coaches making sure they're putting their players in position to succeed. It goes back to players doing their job, executing, especially in critical situations, especially blue chip guys. Like, you're paid to go out there and make plays. And, those guys aren't making plays consistently. We also have guys that are, we got running backs running up and down the field because we're not in the right gaps. We don't have good gap integrity. Guys are missing tackles. It's a lot of things, man, when you look at it. And those are all signs of a team that's struggling. Those are all signs of a team that's pretty bad. And, the players know it, the coaches know it, the guys upstairs know it, that it's not good enough. It's not even close to being good enough. It's embarrassing, to be quite honest. And there has to be a change. You need somebody in this building that's going to hold everybody to the highest of standards. Everything has to be at a championship level. That's all the way down to the equipment staff, to the, to the food, the guys in the cafeteria, to what you do in the weight room, to how you conduct meetings. Everything has to be at a championship elite level if you want to be successful. You can't cut corners in this league because the teams that cut corners are the teams that will be watching the playoffs. And yet again, we're a team that's going to be watching the playoffs.
Yeah, who would have thought it would have gotten to this point this year with 10 straight losses? J-Mac, Jason McKee with us here on Carmen and Yurko. You can hear him on the sidelines every single Bears game. Is there anything that you got from the sidelines that maybe you didn't get a chance to share yesterday that you want to bring to the light?
No, it's just, guys, there's moments where we show signs of doing a lot of good things, but, the bad outweighs the good. The one thing I will say is, I've said it over and over again, like, you can never question Caleb Williams' toughness. I mean, he's the first Bears quarterback to start 16 straight games since 2009, and that was Jay Cutler. So, his toughness is there. You see the frustration. He was wearing it last night. I'm sure you guys saw it on TV. Oh, yeah. I saw that on the sideline. He's frustrated with himself. He's frustrated with the way things are going. And, I think there's obviously way more better days for Caleb, and I know he's going to put in the work in the offseason. And, we just got to make sure that we're doing everything, that the organization is doing everything that they can from a standpoint of making him successful, but also making this team overall successful.
How do you evaluate his numbers, J-Mac? I mean, of course, it's not been the season we want. But when you look at a 3,300-yard passer now, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, had a horrible showing yesterday, but a team that really didn't help him as well. How do you evaluate what you've seen from him in his rookie season when you also add in he's now been sacked 67 times with a game left in the season?
Yeah, I think when you look at the evaluation, Pat, you talked about the numbers, right? But you look at the numbers, you've got to look at everything as a whole, the situation he's been in. I mean, he's went through coaching change, a coordinator change, a head coach change. He's been sacked, he's been beaten, but he still put up some good numbers. And when you have a quarterback that's faced all that type of adversity, but still goes out there, right, and still performs. And I'm not going to say he's performed at elite level because he hasn't, but he's performed at a good level. He's performing at a level that for me personally, makes me comfortable with saying, this kid has something. And if we continue to develop him, get the right people around him, bring the right head coach, bring the right coordinator in here, bring the right quarterback coach in here, he has something. And, that's my evaluation of him. I'm not going to say we got the pick wrong with Caleb. I think he is, going to be really good. I think he can be the face of the franchise, but now the guys upstairs, they got to do the work to make sure that they're setting him up for success, but not just him. They got to make sure the right infrastructure is in place to let this team succeed. And we've seen failure over and over and over again, right? We drink the Kool-Aid every year. Oh, the Bears are going to win 10 games. The Bears are going to go to the playoffs, right? And it's a continued letdown. So whatever their process has been in the past, they would be crazy and naive to do the same process. Something's got to change. If not, we're going to have the same old results, and you're going to have another quarterback that has all the talent in the world come here in Chicago, and he's going to fail because the infrastructure around him has been terrible.
Done with the Kool-Aid, J-Mac. 7-win predictions until they prove me otherwise.
It's Kool-Aid without sugar. That's what we've been drinking.
Oh, no. One packet, no sugar, and you're going to like it.
And you got to eat your vegetables if you want it. Yep. J-Mac, before we let you go here, so you got the Packers coming up next. You're coming off of the long week here. Green Bay probably playing for some sort of seeding here. And a lot of these guys know, there's going to be, on the Bears side of things, there's going to be big changes. Obviously, there's going to be a new head coach. There might be a new general manager. Who knows what the roster looks like between now and then. How do you keep your guys really into this thing for that finale there when you know that there are going to be major changes between now and the next time they take the football field?
I mean, you really shouldn't have to, keep your guys engaged. I mean, especially guys who, are on the fringe of possibly being here next year or being on an NFL roster next year. Like, you're out there, yes, you're playing for the team, but you're playing for your NFL life here. Everything's going to be under evaluation, not just from the new staff that's going to be coming in, but from a standpoint of everybody's going to be watching film, right? They're going to see how you play late in the season when nothing mattered. They're going to see how you did you keep playing or did you pack it in? Do you have your suitcase in one hand and your football glove on the other hand? You know what I'm saying? So you shouldn't, the guys shouldn't have to be, coach motivated. They should be self-motivated. And, you're going to want to do everything that you can to go out with a win. And no better feeling than, hey, you know what, we've been on a terrible losing streak. It's been an awful season, but, hey, we can go out with a bang by beating Green Bay, and that's the mindset I think that they should have over there at Halas Hall this week.
All right, J-Mac, appreciate the time, and hopefully we can get that win up at Lambeau next week.